Hi everyone, I'm Matthew Moniz, and this is my review of the Samsung Gear S3. Now, Samsung is releasing a brand new smartwatch during a time when smartwatch sales have declined by over 50% from the same time last year. Motorola, Huawei, and LG have all announced that they're not making any more smartwatches in the near or foreseeable future. They just feel the profit is not there and it's not really taking off. Now, Samsung nuts for releasing a new smartwatch, and more importantly, is the Samsung Gear S3 worth it? Let's find out. There are two models of the Gear S3, the Classic and the Frontier. My model is the Frontier, which is the cheaper version and the successor to the Gear S2. It's much sportier, heavier, and rugged than last year's design. In the US, it comes with 3G LTE connectivity, but here in Canada, it doesn't. The first thing you'll notice is how big this watch is at 46 millimeters. It's perfect for guys, but I feel girls might find the watch too bulky. The build quality is significantly better than last year's regular S2. It's made of stainless steel, it has IP68 waterproofing, so you can dunk it in water up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. The big glass display is made of Gorilla Glass SR+, which is new from Corning and meant to be more durable. I've bumped it many times walking through doors and have had no scratches on it. The watch is comfortable to wear and the 22mm rubber straps are replaceable. But the biggest improvement from last year has to be the rotating bezel. It feels so much better. I find the rotating bezel on the Gear S2 not as smooth to rotate, but the Gear S3 feels solid. It's definitely my favorite feature. Rotating to scroll makes a lot more sense than pressing buttons. The AMOLED display is bigger than last year's with the same resolution of 360 by 360. It's bright, shows deep blacks, and colors look fantastic. There's also an always-on mode too, so you can see the time without having to activate the screen. Just note that your battery will decrease faster. Performance is really good too. Tizen, Samsung's proprietary software, rocks on smartwatches, and I actually prefer it over Android Wear. The only negative is the lack of apps that the Gear S3 still has. It doesn't compare to the Apple Watch or Android Wear, but for simple notifications, responding to texts, email, and checking the weather, it's perfect. You can also use the watch to answer and make phone calls. The speaker is loud enough and the person on the other end couldn't tell I was talking through a watch. Also, battery life was really good too. I was able to get through 2.5 to 3 days of use before needing a charge. That's much better than the Apple Watch and the majority of Android Wear watches I've tested. There's 4 gigabytes of storage for your music and built-in GPS in case you want to leave your phone at home and go for a run. But there are a few things I don't like. Like I mentioned before, the app selection is very sparse on the Gear S3. So if you're a person who enjoys using apps on their smartwatch, then you're going to want to check out the Apple Watch and the majority of Android Wear devices. And the second thing I didn't like is the fact that it can only be used with Android. Now, I know the Apple Watch has the same situation. It can only be used with Apple devices or iOS devices, but at least with Android Wear, you can go cross-platform. Now, in all fairness, Samsung is testing a beta that's going to work with iOS sometime in the near future. Also, I heard Samsung Pay works really well on this watch. Unfortunately, I couldn't test it because in Canada, it's not available yet. So here are my closing thoughts. The Gear S3 provides one of the best experiences I've had with a smartwatch if you're using Android. Now, if you want something cross-platform, you're better off with Android Wear. And if you want the best smartwatch experience and you have an iPhone, you definitely want to check out the Apple Watch instead. But if you're stuck to Android and you love Android, check out the Gear S3. You're going to get a very fast, fluid, performing smartwatch. It has a beautiful big display, a nice design, it has all the fitness capabilities that you need, including GPS, and most importantly, it has really good battery life. Now, if you're someone who owns the Gear S2, it's obviously not worth the upgrade. At $350 US or $470 Canadian, it's a little bit pricey. So if you're looking at this watch and you want to save a few bucks, check out last year's Gear S2 Classic. It still runs and performs really well, and the feature difference is not that extensive. Now, for everybody else out there, let me know what you think of the watch in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.